practicing. I broke my time. I knew at 15 years old exactly what I was going to do because I was just so much in love with music. I determined by 15 years old I would never ever have another boss man in my life. I did not like the idea of that because they were mostly stupid. And I decided I was going to carry my life through. But I also realized at 15 years old, you have to be one of the best musicians. And while you are not practicing, someone is practicing. That's going to make you, there is no middle class. You're either one of the best or you're on the bottom. And that's where you do not want to be. And all is required is diligent, logical practice. I knew what my hands could do. I knew what my hands could not do. Finally, after Texas Southern in Los Angeles at the age of 20, I basically dedicated 10 years of my life to sitting at the piano, and I would break it into segments. I would work on my left hand. I would work on my right hand. I would practice this, and then I would always allow myself time to noodle, to have fun. And at the same time, I was a recording artist with the Jazz Crusaders. But I knew eventually that one day, if I was not one of the best, I was going to be on the beat.
I'm here with Joe Sample. He was one of the founding members of the Jazz Crusaders, which became the Crusaders in 1971, and you stayed with the group until 1991, the final album.
Well, I'm actually, I just played with the Crusaders last week at the Blue Note in New York City, and Saturday we are going to Japan. So actually, I'm still with the Crusaders.
Well, Mr. Sample, what do you think education is to jazz? Like, how do you think jazz and education go hand in hand?
Well, education is just a basic requirement of life, and also music education is a requirement. I believe if you are going to become a jazz musician, you're going to need all of the tools that is necessary to let's say execute what you may desire to play, and the tools that I had to gather actually came from classics. It came from blues. It came from gospel. So you have to be educated about everything in order to be a great jazz man. I hear in Miles Davis, in Duke Ellington, Coltrane, Charlie Parker, I hear classical training. I hear all of the elements of gospel, blues, soul. I hear all of those elements. So your education, it goes on and on and on and on. At 69 years old, I'm still learning things. I'm at that age now that when you look back and we see what is going on with the youngsters of today, what is going on with music, what is happening everywhere, I feel an obligation and also a responsibility to go out and tell the youngsters what they have to do. And I want the youngsters to know that at one time I used to think, and I was in my 20s, and I used to think that one day I was going to have it made. Well, that was the biggest lie I had created ever in my mind. You never have it made, and that's what I wanted to let the youngsters know. Or let's say I desired to let the youngsters know that it goes on and on and on and on. The learning process, it continues and continues. Life is work.
Speaking of the youngsters, what do you think some of the main problems affecting us are today?
Well, one of the main problems it was either 1970 or 1971 where the state of New York made a decision that music education was an unnecessary frill. And when money gets tight, the first thing that is cut out of the schools are the art programs, the concept of the arts, and that is the first thing to cut. Well, we need the arts, and we need. I believe that arts is something in life that makes life wonderful. I look at life as it is very easy to just walk down the street, to leave your home and walk down the street, and you could find all of the bad things, the ugly things, the evil things. They're in your face every single moment of your life. I found it necessary in my life that I had to work hard to not notice all of the wrong things. And you get to that stage by bringing the arts into your life, because they will also bring some spiritual value into your life. And once you have brought in spiritual value, you could then control your life in a sense. And it all adds up to one thing, that music and the arts is a process of medicine, and it heals. It has a healing power, and that's what we always need in our lives, to be healed.
As a musician, in your personal opinion, how do you think being able to read music is essential to being a musician?
Well, if you couldn't read a stop sign, what do you think would happen to you? Man, it's dangerous. You can't read or write. Don't touch. You may get electrocuted. Don't put this chemical with that chemical. Don't step in. Come on, you have to be able to read. It's just a basic, simple thing of life. It's one thing. There have been fantastic musicians, giants, who could not read. Well, they were blessed in another way. But most of us, if we want to get together on a stage and act as professionals, be a professional, then we have to know how to read. We have to be able to get there. All of us look at that music, and all of us interpret it at the same time, and interpret it in a professional manner. Do you know how much time and energy and money you could save if everybody could read?
I don't need a band. When you went to the rent parties in Harlem during the 1920s and the 1930s, the piano player was the band. They supplied the dance music of the evening, and they were known as king of the night during the 1920s and the 1930s. I would like to play for you now one of my favorite stride piano pieces. It was actually it was done by Fats Waller. He also did it with bands. It's a very wonderful song titled "It's a Sin to Tell a Lie." This particular recording, I believe, was done in 1933.